So, these two teams, while we are waiting for them to ready up, we do have all 10. We're just waiting for the formalities to get out of the way. These two are definitely no strangers to each other, org or otherwise. Going back to when the Grayhound roster were known as Immunity, they were going a 15-10 record to Grayhound thus far. That's including their Immunity lineups, and that is from March last year. So over the year, it's been pretty tough. We are going into the 9th round, and it'll be for the choosing of sides, and Grayhound gets the choice. And with that all out of the way, I would like to welcome you formally to the ESEA Mountain Dew League's 27th season, powered by CappingTV, and a best of one on Nuke between Grayhound and Chiefs ESC, and I will run you down your starting lineups. On the side of Grayhound, we have Burn, Are You Okay? Dexter, Gratisfaction, Urcaster, Dick Stacy. Those names are so fun to say. And on the side of Chiefs, we have Texter, Pex, Tux, Malta, and Sterling, who is an affluent Orba. Hopefully he gets to show that off. On the side of Grayhound, we have 4 Armored Up and 1 Kit on Gratisfaction. I'll be curious to see where he goes. Chiefs are legging it straight out. And Malta on his own on the upper side. Urcast will get 3 frags for himself. Gratisfaction will clean up Tux. And Malta is the only one left standing, and now he's not standing anymore thanks to Gratisfaction's assistance. 2 for Gratis, 3 for Urcast, and very quickly, Grayhound jumps to a 1-0. And with no bomb going down, Chiefs will more than likely just take this on the chin. And likely, we have ourselves a pause very early on, maybe due to technical issues. I'm not noticing any ping spikes personally, but it could be due to local issues elsewhere. Yes, Chiefs definitely aiming for a win. Hopefully a squeaky clean one at that, because they are currently at 3-0, and if they get a 4-0, if they win this evening, they'll be tying the front runners to be at the top of the table in the early standings. We have an armored pistol from Chiefs ESC, so they're really looking to put the hurting on the Grayhound early. Alternating out Squeaky and smoking off the A site. All the Chiefs gathering on top of Silo, and they're in that vicinity. We have 2 subs, a FAMAS, an M4, and a scout on Gratisfaction. In amongst all of that, 2 from each side have gone down, and Tux and Malta have taken very, very substantial amounts of damage. And that damage will be all for naught. If Sterling could shove the CZ into Gratisfaction's mouth and scavenge a rifle and get the frag into Urcast. Now it is a 1 versus 2 for Burn. Now a 1 versus 1. The health advantage is in favor of Sterling. If he gets the 3 frags to himself, this will definitely be the jab of the arm that Chiefs will need. The positional game is Burn. Sterling's just jumped down to the lower side. He does have the bomb in hand. Now it is up to Burn to make the first move. Burns at the bet for 3, and it hits its mark. Sterling, with the quarterback arm of the New England Patriot Tom Brady, will sit out Grayhound, and that will be a tied game at 1 apiece. This could be a forced by back and forth to start us off very early, and that will definitely play into the Chiefs' favor, because the more rounds you get on the T side of this map, the better. Despite it perhaps not being as T-sided as its initial inception from Counter-Strike 1.6, it is still a lot better to yourself to perhaps get at least 6 rounds on the terrorist side, and they've already gotten 1 on the board at 2 rounds in. We have power pistols of 5.7, a P250, and one of the deagles has just been put into the ground by Tux and his Mac 10. And Tux raking in the coin for himself, getting 2 frags to his name, aiming to easily get a 3rd. Gratisfaction putting up a little bit of a fight, but not too much. It's a 3K for Tux. And Urcast stuck in the vent with not much to do for himself. So mere formality. Hopefully he can get a scavenged weapon and perhaps try to stay the ship. One will go down on the upper side. And unless Urcast can catch off someone, he'll carry over his CZ and Nate's. That will be a second. Ooh, Sterling dropped the AK. That is a huge carryover for Grayhound. Urcast will be very wise to hang on to that at all costs. Despite Chiefs surviving with 3, they will drop a crucial rifle. And unless Urcast is able to survive, no he won't. That rifle will be scavenged by Tux. Or not. He showed the intention to drop it. He threw it over. But maybe physics played a part and he picked up the MAC-10 instead. Not to worry, he will be able to buffer his already swollen bank at nearly $5,500. So he will be aiming to do a lot more with the MAC-10 in hand. Also as well, still hanging on the SMG and the Galil still on Sterling. Smokes towards outside, not wanting to take any chances. They can afford to kind of cut any corners if they wish to, but they're choosing not to. Too much on the line. We'll get an easy 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much, Mr. MacDaddy. Your contribution to Chiefs is greatly appreciated. The 3K for him. Although he is up on 2 HP, he did his work. And Sterling will get 1. Urcast does try to thin the numbers by taking out Malta, but that will be all he will be able to get to himself. That is 3 on the go for Chiefs, and we go into the opening gun round. Looks like it might be just rifles all across the board for Grayhound. They can't really afford to differentiate too much from that. Full nade sets for Urcast and Burn. A little bit stifled for Dexter and Gratisfaction, but it will be able to get them by. May notice the lack of helmets on the side of Grayhound, but it will not be that big of an issue due to the lack of helmets, or due to the AKs on the side of Chiefs. Aside from Sterling, Sterling's got a much easier time now with the armor, not protecting the head, so just put the 99 Parabellum right through their skulls. There goes the bell for Squeaky. Smoke lands out. So they're looking to basically blunt force their way onto the A's side. Urcast will be the first line of defense. We'll get 2. Pex will square the ledger with a pair of his own, and Dexter will turn. So now the AK and MAC-10 are still up. AK caught the shoulder of Gratisfaction, but no bullets connected. Tux is well aware now. And both Tux and Sterling are in a buddy system. Tux is lucky to be alive on 4 HP after that duel with Burn. 2 versus 2. Dexter eats a Molotov, like literally takes it straight in his mouth and takes it with good authority. That will be a new round for Grayhound. They won't be howling just yet, though. They're yet to really show their teeth. There will be a couple of rebuys being required. The orb in the hands of Sterling. He would be one of the players I would keep an eye on, being a former member of Darksided and Riotous. Playing a sharpshooter with the orb. And one to be feared. Dick Stacy will. But the Heckler and Koch MP 45 to use. And get himself an AK for it. So one of the pivotal rifles taken out very early on. We have to Tux to square the ledger, and that is what he will do. Takes a little bit of damage in the process, but he's still a body on the field now. That could be a deciding factor. Tux was finished off. Just that. So now a 3 versus 4 for the attacking side of Chiefs. The AWP is still in play, though. Maybe with these longer sight lines on the B side, maybe he'll be able to get a frag off. But nobody on Grayhound is showing their hand at the moment. Till Burns steps out in front of Texter and gets his head blown clean off. Are all square. The B side is being infiltrated. Will CTs notice? Someone just did. That being Dick Stacy will drop down the bomb carrier of Texter. The bomb is in a very precarious position. Sterling being the only line of defense in a 1 versus 2. The bomb is in his hand. Will the bomb go down? No, it will not. The AWP will not save you, my sir. Gratisfaction will make sure of that. And now we are tied after 6 rounds. Looks like, aside from a little bit of armor on Texter and the CZ75, it looks like Chiefs are aiming basically to blunt force and get the bomb down at most. They're definitely no strangers to each other. In the 25 game sample size, which I have, I say it is 15-10 in favor of Grayhound, and 2 of those went to overtime. So these teams are actually quite proficient in getting it done in regulation. Sterling will pink Gratisfaction to death. And Malta took a decent chunk of damage out of Burn as well. Grayhound cannot afford to lose any more men. With 3 being up and the economic structure being the way that it is on the side of Grayhound, the more losses they take, the more they have to rebuy. And the more strained, the more expensive counter-terrorist economy will become. So Sterling maybe wanting to bank on holding on to this AWP that he's gotten back off of a Chiefs member, which was formerly his. It's picked up the last round. Sterling in the vents. Urquhart just caught the peak of him. So I wanted to try his luck. No, you are going to eat crow and eat bullets and drop to the floor. Urquhart's having the final say. And after that, Grayhound has now taken the lead, and despite all the doom and gloom in their economy, it looked like it is starting to taper out with the 1 rifle dropped and a full nade set for the side of Grayhound now. Looks like they are fully equipped, and we have an even keel for a duel. All rifles on the side of Chiefs. And 4 M4s. And the AWP on Gratisfaction. And he will be thanking him for it. Malta will get 2 to the 1 of Urquhart. Definitely going tit for tat right now. Going at an even manpower until very recently. Where it is a 3 versus 2 now. With 1 very heavily tagged overwatching the upper sight. That being Burn on 12 HP. But Chiefs cannot afford to rush in lightly. Knowing that the AWP is in play, and now the AWP is all that is left. It is Gratisfaction versus 3. It is climbing up to the heaven position, and he will be sent downward from heaven by Pex. And now we are 4 on each side, and judging from the current economic status of Grayhound, it will turn into 5 for Chiefs. Deagle on Dexter and Dick Stacy with the P250. The only one I would really keep an eye on the defending side would be Deagle of Dexter. Just aiming to pre-fire a position, or just aiming to shove it right in his mouth, and he will get his opportunity against Tux. And Tux will prevent him from doing anything unorthodox. In the meantime, I will actually And this to your attention, Burn and Malta actually went overseas with the rest of a fellow Mountain Dew League participant, that being Order. They played in WESG. Ended up taking home the title at the Asia Pacific Championships, and that would be Urkast getting 2, thinning out the numbers of Chiefs ESC, perhaps leaving them a little bit on their heels. Yes, they do survive the round, but they do force a couple of rebuys. Maybe not so much anymore, but if this was where Chiefs had cleared the coffers, it could be very dire. Luckily, that's not to be the case. Now, a force buy round from Grayhound. That's very interesting with very little utility. And a fair chunk of armor, but against the AKs, it will serve a little use, but not as much. Satisfaction of the unarmored opponent getting chunked down quite heavily. And Texter will finally silence Satisfaction. Yes, the last time these two teams played was very recent, actually. It was on June the 20th for IEM Katowice, and Grayhound had actually won that series in 3 maps, 2 maps to 1. Chiefs actually getting thinned out now. Now a 3 versus 3, now a 3 versus 2, thanks to Malta. Sitting Dick Stacy out. Thanks caught completely unawares. If Dexter shoved that CZ into his mouth, it could be a very different story. And now Burn versus 3, and now None versus 3 with Pex sending Burn to the grave. That'll be 6. And it's very recently, it was actually January 23rd. It was the qualifier for IAM Katowice, which, barring the previous result, which actually included this map at the best of 3, which was a 16-1, a 16-4, and a 7-16 in the favor of Grayhound. The nuke result was very much in favor of Grayhound, which was a 16-4. And judging off that alone, it's going to be a very much improved Chiefs ESC. Dexter coming in like a bat out of hell, taking 2 to his name. Dexter and Urkast trying to square things, but it is very much thin out. Now Burn on high will only be left standing against Tux and Sterling, and has been pulled out of his position. The ball will go down on the upper site, and it will be up to Burn to make his choice. Does have a lot of utility to work with. No kid on him though. So he's definitely on the clock now, and Tux picks the shoulder, and Tux blows the brain all over the attics. A 2k for Tux, a 2k for Texter. And now Chiefs are 1 away from winning out the half, going into round number 12. It is 7-4 in favor of Chiefs ESC, and it looks like Grayhound will have to cop another one to their name. Throwing any pistol magic. Utility being thrown out by the terrorist side. They can afford to do it though. They do have a full set of utility, and basically Grayhound have nothing to work with aside from armor and pistols. Sport very low in a duel versus Dexter. Pex will clean him up though and try to keep Tux alive. This will get a second one, shooting Burn through towards the hell position. He does drop one, that being Texter, right into the skull. But Sterling will say, that is enough of that. We are winning out this half. And that is exactly what they will do. That is 8 for Chiefs ESC. And we have 2 rounds left in the half. No, 3, excuse me. Maths is very hard. We have a full nade set on both sides. Well, that's as much as you could get with throwing an orbit of the mix on the CT side, because armor is a lot more expensive and some of the rifles are a lot more expensive as well. He's foregoing a kit though. Also, the glass being shot out over the A site to prevent telegraphing of a potential A site execute where you throw smoke through the upper skylights, or maybe even betting potential fake. Really wanting to shut down this momentum of Chiefs. They have won 5 on the trot. Burn watching the ramp position has caught the eye of Malta and he's having none of it. He's decided to backpedal into the B side proper and move towards the office. Will Chiefs be wise to his tactic? And making the presence felt on the B side, perhaps wanting to go there. Pex eating a bullet from Gratisfaction, but still living by taking him down. Sterling will thin the numbers even more for Grayhound. Now it is a 2 versus 5. Sterling barely living on 1 HP. You can call him a zombie, but he can still definitely bite. Dick Stacy will get 1 onto Tux to perhaps only be a consolation at this point. The bomb will go down. He only has a flash to his name. If he does somehow peg the nade at Sterling and hit him, that could end up being a frag to him. A funny one at that, but Sterling is wise to that. Now, Chiefs have nothing to worry about in terms of economy, and that is a pause called. It would be... I am unsure of where this pause is coming from. I do not have that on my console, but it will be safe to assume that this is a tactical pause by Grayhound, given the current state of affairs. They have won 6 on the trot now. And knowing that they will have to trudge through 2 more rounds to try and get this to a 9-6 or a 6-9 for Grayhound based on their sides. But how do they do it? And with the economy being the way that it is, do you even risk it or you just settle for a 10-5? Lord, just looking through the statistics from CSGO, Tux being on 21-7 with a 140 ADR. That is absolutely insane. Perhaps that's actually counting the knife round kills, if that's the case. According to the scoreboard, not shown on the observers, but shown by using tab, he's on 17-1-7. Looks like there is a bug somewhere, and we need to squish it and squish it fast. Pistol bite. Out from Grayhound, we have 2 CZs of 5.7, P250, and the ever-loving Deagle on Burn. They're rushing straight out to the site, maybe to their own demise. Dick Stacy will get 2, Urcast will get 1 as well. And perhaps the foolhardy rush approach is biting Chiefs very hard. Now Pex is all that is left, and now that is none. A clean round by Grayhound, and that is exactly what they needed to turn the entire game on its head. And just like that, they scavenge, goodness me, off of my rough math, that will be $12,000 worth of weaponry at least. With 3 AKs and an AWP being salvaged, and now on the final round of the first half for Grayhound, they have double AWP setup. Yes, they'll still have to deal with Sterling, who's been definitely holding his own with a respectable 11-7 with 2 assists. Gratisfaction will have none of it, though. Get the opening frag of the penultimate round of the first half. Putting Chiefs on the back foot very early, and they do have the utility to back it up on the side of Grayhound as well. Showing his hand very far up on the secret passageway. Dexter hanging around a garage will take down the Opera Sterling, and now it'll be harder for Chiefs to have a long distance reach. So he's trying to balance the ship, but Burn sitting at ramp, way too wise to text his movements, and will blow his chest clean out. Gratisfaction will take out Pex, and now it is Tux versus the world. Versus a pack of dogs. And the dogs will bite back. A 9-6 in favor of Chiefs ESC at the change. And goodness me. It took a while for Grayhound to get going, but I'm fairly certain that they will not be pleased with that effort, given, yes, T-sides are becoming more formidable, but that type of performance would be unacceptable on the T-side. They would more than likely be aiming for perhaps an even keel of a 7-8. Perhaps having more rounds in their favor. Maybe winning out the round on their side or getting a 9-6 going in their way as opposed to the Chiefs. And for the longest time, the CT side has been considered the much easier one for Nuke. Maybe a lot more disputed now given the update, but it's still very much up in the air. It doesn't see as much play in the competitive circles as opposed to other maps. And go, go, go is the call. We are on to the second half of Chiefs ESC versus Grayhound. If Chiefs win this game, they will be at a 4-0 start in the Mountain Dew League's 27th season for ESEA. We have 3 armored Chiefs, full armor on Grayhound. We have a Kit and Smoke on Pex, and Malta with the Flash and Molotov. It'll be curious to see where Pex will play. It could prove to be quite the detriment if they do end up requiring a retake. Looks like Greyhounds are gathering in the lobby. Perhaps going to move out towards radio. Pex has caught the ire of that, is backing all the way out. Smoking one part of the ramp position. And Texa and Sterling will go down the hands of Gratisfaction and Burn. So now Chiefs on the back foot very early on. Tux replying. Getting a juicy headshot to Dexter. Pex still keeping an eye on the ramp position. Catching Dick Stacy completely unawares. Will Gratisfaction drop down and try to avenge him? Pex has caught Gratisfaction's legs. That may be all that he'll catch. Gratisfaction with 2 on the round. Burn with 2 on the round and make that 3. He'll put a cap on it by taking out Tux. And that is the second pistol round in favor of Grayhound. We are at a 1-1 for pistols thus far. And the Greyhounds are starting to growl. Hopefully the Chiefs will be like the Raiders in World of Warcraft and vanquish the Hounds. Or will they just be overwhelmed? If everything goes according to plan in these next 2 rounds from Greyhound, they have minimal casualties. This will be very interesting going into the first gun round. There could be a potential tie at 9 by the end of it before we see an actual pistol. Depending on how Chiefs act here. Now still in the pause period. Not much is really shown at the moment in terms of buys and potential courses of action. Greyhound really coming off of a very mixed bag in terms of the start. They are currently at 1-1, but they did get thumped very hard by Sin on Cash very early on, being 16-6. That did cause a little bit of a ripple, a little bit of a wave in amongst the scene, being, oh, there could be a new formidable foe in town. Aircast has dropped from the server, so that would indicate that there has been a timeout, and the internet is being very cooperative with Greyhound tonight, and I use that with the utmost sarcasm. Aren't really getting much. And based on tonight's games, we have had only one so far this evening, and that being Corvidae versus Riotous Academy, and Corvidae will brutally murder Riotous Academy 16 rounds to 3 on Mirage. And other games this evening, there aren't many that concern these two currently playing. But if I bring this up, we have Lucky 7 versus Sea Dogs, and Greyhound back at it again at 10 o'clock versus Mary. Mary are very much an unknown team. So I'll be curious to see how they go. Maybe another potential dark team to cause a bit of a ruckus in the early days of the Mountain Dew League. We are still waiting for... We have lost a comrade in arms. We have lost a member of Grayhound to the wonders of the internet. He's timed out for the server, and we are waiting for him to return. Ocast's definitely no slouch. He's back in the fray now. Ocast was one of the standouts for the longest time, especially on previous teams like Immunity. I think that was the only one he was on, if memory serves. He was definitely no slouch. And now, with everything as it should be, Grayhound will be champing at the bit to get going. It looks like a mostly submachine gun buy. 2 UMPs, 2 MAC-10s, and the Sol AK on burn. Looks like Chiefs aren't investing all that much. Only a couple of Deagles, a 5.7 and a PC-50 on Sterling. Out towards Radio, where only Pex will be there to greet him, and Burn will return the greeting with bullets. If Grayhound get the bomb down, it will be an even more fruitful round. The aim will be just to take no casualties, but leaving no stone unturned either in terms of utility usage. Checks to add decontamination. Perhaps hearing that MAC-10 of Gratisfaction ring out. Definitely hearing it now by torching him to death. Tux shoving the deagle right into Dexter's mouth and getting a frag. And Dexter as well, taking out Gratisfaction. Now, Grayhound cannot afford to take any more casualties. They definitely want to keep that AK-47 alive. That is paramount. With Tux scavenging a UMP, he is hightailing it all the way away from the scene of the crime. The AK has actually been dropped by Burn Are You OK, and the AK has been scavenged. Can Tux hang on to it from the ramp position? He got firebombed out, but he will carry that AK over, and that is a huge detriment to Grayhound now. And due to the rebuys, a lot of the Grayhound members are now completely clean, even with minimal utility. Oh, Dexter only having a AK to his name and being completely cleaned out. That post-round, that post-plant was really quite the shock. The Greyhound can use their submachine guns to bolster their economy. And the aim for the Chiefs after the buy-up, they'll be aiming to keep that AK and the utility alive. Ocas did get tagged, but will take down. And the AK will not survive and will be taken back. And the bomb did actually go down, so a little bit of extra cash for Grayhound moving forward. And that will be very, very crucial now, given we are moving into a tie, the 4th round of the second half. That is even of a buy as you could really want, given the circumstances and the perhaps necessity of an orb, especially on Sterling, knowing his previous work. Outside's been smoked, only one is shuffling along. Moving towards the secret position, that being your number 6 of Burn. A lot of the members though of Greyhound are gathering out towards Radio and the lobby. Dexter firing some warning shots and letting Greyhound know, don't you come into our parts. Because hang on to the MAC-10. Perhaps a decent investment given there is no head armor, but there is a couple of harder armored opponents, that being Pex and Malta. It could be a little bit more difficult for that MAC-10 to be as effective as it should be. Moving down to 35 seconds. The pulse has to be racing on both sides with both chances to take the lead. Chiefs perhaps break the early momentum of Grayhound. It looks like they are aiming to hit the upper side. They are leaving themselves very short for time. 20 seconds. Trade's very even so far. Pex is holding strong. They move down to the lower side. Pex is being the absolute bodyguard. Getting 3 to his name before dropping a body. And now Sterling will put a cap on it by putting a 3-3 at the port through the back of Burn. Are you okay? And no, he's not okay. He is very much dead. Chiefs will take the lead now. But it is not all over. Not by a long shot. They still have a lot to go through. And Nuke traditionally has been a CT-sided map. Perhaps not so much in the current iteration. But 9-6 to the CTs is still very common. But I guess that's another thing that's variant by region. Sterling planting Burn into the earth, and Texas being very far forward, and Urcast will prevent him from advancing any further. So a 4 versus 4 now, but the perceived weapon advantage would be in favor of Grayhound, but only slightly because of Chiefs and their 2 M4s, because the M4s take 2 shots to kill. The minimum of 2 shots to kill as opposed to the 1 headshot from the Kalashnikov. Picks caught the shoulder of Dexter. He'll catch the head of him, but will be avenged by Gratisfaction at an even 3 versus 3. 2 trios in a tango. Tux is at 48 HP. Keeping an eye outside in case any Greyhound members aiming to move towards secret. Not moving towards lobby. Sniffing something. Tux in the heavy position got snuffed out by Urcast. Now he's up to Malta and Sterling to hold the fort. Sterling will do a good job thus far. Dick Stacy will win the duel versus Malta now. It is the Orb of Sterling versus Dick Stacy, the Gratisfaction. Sterling did trade that out to an AK to try and better his advantage, but it was not to be. And both teams are now in double digits. We are at 10 apiece. And that leaves Chiefs in a little bit of a dire strait now. With a round that they will definitely have to cop. And Urcast will definitely be taking advantage of that, hanging on to the Mac 10. If he gets 2 frags, that is the entire gun paid for. And then some. Definitely loving things to be toasty around the boxes on the CT side. Dixie has definitely caught the eye of that. He's calling that out to his team. And Urcast definitely seeing a shoulder there. I think it's a pot shots up towards heaven, but not getting too much. Only grazing Dexter ever so slightly. Urcast finally getting the better of Dexter, and Dexter will take out Sterling. Dexter and Dexter, that is going to be a tongue twister in the future, I can feel it. Urcast will ground Tux, and Malta will go out as well, and now Hex is the only one left standing behind the smoke. And he will only be doing a surprise through the smoke and doing not much else. Thanks to Dick Stacy. Legs 11 for Grayhound after a little bit of a shaky start. Perhaps not getting what they wanted on the counter-terror side, but their T side is showing a lot more, is bearing a lot more fruit. Winning 5 out of the last 6 rounds. And another limp buy for Chiefs, with only Deagles and P250s and 1 piece of armor on Tux. by, but perhaps those pistols and things could have been used to perhaps buy utility in the next round, but we will wait and see. But that mere formality out of the way, only Dick Stacy coming down. Not much lost there, only a Mac 10. And go time. Oh, boy, we'll definitely see a duel between Sterling and Gratisfaction. Please let there actually be a duel on the outside position. That would be lovely. So keeping an eye on things towards outside, maybe seeing the movement of Urcast. But Sterling and his backing man of Texas haven't really seen much of note yet, and they are hanging strong. I'm going all the way towards the secret stairway. That's forced to tuck back a tiny bit, not by much. 3 moving out towards radio and ramp. Texter attacks. Texter will actually take out 2 from that position. Tux will clean that up, and now Dexter is all that is left versus 3, well maybe 2.5 if you consider the health pools. Moving out towards C2 Road. Definitely saw the wild nade going right his way. Low HP player Texter will go down, but Tux will be the Avenger. And the gap shrinks once again. Chiefs on 11. Grayhound in the lead on 12, but only barely. Looks like a buy. Buy will definitely be on the cards for Grayhound. They could definitely afford to get everything that they would ever want. Full buy in all the trimmings. Chief's not too bad either, with full utility on 3 of the players. The orb on the back of Sterling once again. And Tex perhaps leaving aim to chance with only an M4 on his back. Movement towards outside and secret. Ground moving towards the lower part of the map. 2 moving towards decontamination. 2 members are moving just outside of the vent now. Just wanting to penetrate from underneath. The B site's been completely vacated. Grayhound will get down there pretty much unscathed, and now it is on the area of the Chiefs to try and retake the site. I don't know if 4 versus 4, but Tux gets 2 through the vent, served him on a silver platter, pretty much, and now Sterling in a 1 versus 4. After all of that, Grayhound said, "Shh, it's a secret to everybody." And went right down said path. And Sterling will take out Gratisfaction and force a rebuy, but that will not be to too much avail, as Grayhound will get to 13 to the 11 of Chiefs, and Grayhound will be 2 away from match points, barring any shenanigans in the following round. P250s, definitely not as hard hitting as they used to be. Just wanting to just stack a common form of attack. And then just legging it all the way down towards secret, and a couple of the Grayhound members are following in tow. Texter will shout down from the heavens and force Urcast to be ejected for the round. It's pulled the Grayhound numbers down early. Urcast could be catching Dexter on unawares. No, it was Malta, excuse me. But Dexter was too wise to it and plants him. So that is the bomb down, and an even manpower, but the firepower well and truly in favor of Grayhound. So Chief's aim would be to survive with as many as possible and perhaps get an extra weapon for their troubles. which may explain why they're congregating on the ramp position, perhaps expecting the Greyhound will exit in that direction as well. But Gratisfaction being all too wise to it, having eyes until very recently on that position. Looks like Greyhound are now retreating, knowing the bomb will go off with no chance of being defused. And boom. The AK was scavenged and is now on the back of Texter. So a little bit of money saved on the CT side. Will they buy up around it? Look like they will. They are not playing for this high. They are wanting to win. This will be the start of a very hard slog for Chiefs though, because after this round, Greyhound will have at least one more buy left in him if they all go down. Maybe even two, counting in the round loss bonuses. And up high on top of the marshmallow. But Texas having none of it. This rivalry is very far from over, given their history. Going back just only through the last year. 25 games between them. The two going to OT. Sure, a lot of the lineups have changed in between then and now. At least some of the cores have stayed together. At least from memory. Just bleeding out the clock and not wanting to put a foot wrong because Greyhound is on match point. Toxin Dexter perhaps wanting to meet up. Greyhound not putting a smoke wall up to cross outside. Fox has not moved in this position. Did get outnumbered, but will take out Dexter. Dixie will avenge him. But the man advantage will go towards Chiefs. Now, Greyhound have to make a decision. It looks like they're going towards the lowest side. There's only 1.5 lines of defense. I say half because one is behind the smoker. Surprise! Pex will take down Dick Stacy. Gratisfaction will take down the ever so sneaky Pex. Now it is a 1 versus 2 now for Gratisfaction. The bomb is down, and in his prying eye, will Texter or his compatriot in Malta be able to get it? Yeah, the bomb is being stuck, the bomb has been defused. Gratisfaction is still alive. Will actually survive that one. But and almost a sneaky defuse right under the nose of Gratisfaction. That will be 12 now for Chiefs and now 14 for Greyhound. A full buy will come out on the attacking side, and a partial, well, pretty much a full buy aside from trading out an M4 for a UMP. But the UMP and its capabilities, you could basically call it a rifle if you play it the correct way. Dick Stacy getting chunked and eating that nade, as well as Urcast and Burn. 3 members will move down towards Secret and perhaps want to repeat previous round's efforts. Stealing 2 wise to it though. Taking out Burn through the shoulder. So catch out a Wanderer. A Wanderer being Texter, and perhaps now Greyhound second guessing the entire play on Secret. Gratis smooth as butter will plop Tux down from the heaven position off of your tree, sir. Still sitting in a ramp, maybe hearing the current movements moving towards outside and then the heaven position. Urcast definitely made him hear that. And Pex gets a rifle round right through the skull. And now a 2 versus 4 for Chiefs to try to prevent Greyhound from going to match point. Malta is chunked down very heavily. Sterling will take out Gratisfaction, but now it is 3 HP versus the many numbers of Greyhound, and now Chiefs are down to 0 HP. Grayhound are on 15 and are on match point for this evening's Mountain Dew League Season 27 matchup and will break the losing goose egg of Chiefs. Chiefs really wanted to stay alive, but they did not have a lot to do it with. They only have full armor and pistols and only one submachine gun, that being on Sterling. But if any region can get a bargain bin buy to fully work, it is anyone from this region. They could make anything and everything work if they want to. For blue gem vibes. I think that's a blue gem on Malta. Either way, it's gorgeous. But enough gawking at skins. We're going into the final minute of this 13th round of the second half. Grayhound on match point. Chiefs trying to keep themselves alive with the minimum that they've got. Trying to clean out their heaven and hell positions. Burn will bring them one frag closer by taking out Malta. Dexter blows out the wall, blows out the door, and runs Dexter clean over. And Scavengers and AK for his troubles. A Burn up top. Will he be able to thin the defenders? The only one being Dexter at the moment on the upper side. Bomb is moving down towards ramp and onto the lower site, where the AK is actually positioned towards decontamination. Tuxing the CZ. Put in work. The AK has been picked up. Tux and Sterling will reply, and now it is Burn with no time left and now no life left. Chiefs are hanging on and get to 13. And as I alluded to from the very beginning of that half, some teams can make anything work. And that is it in full living color. Ground still able to buy, but definitely will be rattled after the surprise packet from Chiefs ESC. They definitely let their guard down on the attacking side. And Chiefs made them pay out of their pockets, out of their lives, and out of their round count. A bit of damage exchange, but only not even licks. Really loving the ramp position at the moment. And moving towards lobby perhaps. Wanting to do the radio ramp push. Pex will be at the ready. Does have the backup too. Pex will take out Dick Stacy. Backup will come but be put down in quick order by Grad's faction. Dexter will shut down the potential shooting gallery. And now a 3 versus 4 to get the W for Grayhound. Sterling is having none of it. The Orps will both get a kill each. Now 3 versus 2. Now 2 versus 2, we're at an even keel. Bomb is actually down, and now Grad's faction will shut Malta out. Bomb is down on the lowest site, and now Sterling, it is a 1 versus 2. He is considered a juggernaut in some circles, and he will have to come and be everything he can be to try and keep Chiefs in this. Sterling will take out Grad's faction now, 1 versus 1. Pure duel between the AKs. Dexter will strong arm him and come out on top. And that will be the end of that. Grayhound will be your victors and will go to 1 and 2, and will send Chiefs to a 3 and 1. And after all that, that will conclude our coverage. That was actually quite an entertaining game, if I do say so myself, and a lot better than the previous encounter from IM.GATOVJ. That is a win in the win column for Grayhound, 16-13 over the Chiefs. We will wrap up our coverage here on CappingTV. My name has been Justin. My handle has been Cyberwaste. You have been lovely. I've also been watching ESEA's Mountain Dew League for Season 27 here on CappingTV. Good night. and happy fragging.